On today's show, Bobby and I breaking the format, asking you this Valentine's Day question: is that money thing you doing, is that romantic? Welcome to Money in the Morning. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, live from my mom's half-finished basement in Detroit, Michigan.
And I'm Bobby Rebell from the Financial Grown-Up Podcast, live from my very grown-up kitchen in New York City.
And together we have this show called Money in the Morning, where normally what we do is we take two headlines ripped from the financial press. We talk about what they mean to your wallet, to your savings plan. We define terms. And then we not only do that, we also send you home with a big idea. But today we're not doing any of that, Bobby. Today we're actually going to talk about, is that romantic? Our special Valentine's Day episode will start in just a second. But first, got to say thanks to Lemonade for supporting Money in the Morning. Everything you love about insurance. Do we love anything about insurance, Bobby?
I do. I think insurance is a great thing because it gives you the foundation to do things in your life and to reach your goals. When you want to own a house, you want to own a car, you need insurance.
Is nice.
Even travel insurance. I buy travel insurance and I've used it.
Is nice renters insurance and homeowners, is that romantic?
It is romantic because having the security of a home is really romantic. I think it's great. I'm going to go for that. Everything
you love about insurance in one place. Lemonade, instant everything, killer prices, big heart. They say that themselves. They have a big heart. Great thing for today. StackYourBenjamins.com/lemonade takes you there. It takes 90 seconds to get a quote on your homeowners or your renter's insurance. Bobby Rebell, you are dressed in red. That means you're ready for Valentine's Day.
And you are dressed in pink. You are ready as well.
I am ready. So let's kick this thing off, shall we?
Good morning. You supply the coffee. We'll bring the headlines. Here they come.
Well, today you're actually supplying the headlines.
Yes,
I almost said
our listeners are supplying the headlines, which is great.
So here's the deal, is that today, last time we recorded, actually, let's go back to that day. We asked all of you to help us out and talk about things in your money life that are romantic. And Bobby and I get to be judge, jury, and executioner on those ideas today, as we're going to walk through all of them with you. And our live Facebook audience gets to chime in today as well with Is That Romantic suggestions. And Bobby, you are going to be awarding a prize to our most romantic thing.
We are giving a prize out. We are giving out Rachel Cruz's book, Love Your Life, Not Theirs. Emphasis on love.
And you've, not to get derailed too much, but you've interviewed Rachel on your show.
Rachel has been on the Financial Grown-Up Podcast. She told a great story about wanting a handbag that her mother had, and the story of what happened with that and doing a gut check on her values. So everyone should check out that episode when you have a chance.
I've had the privilege of talking to her on 3 different interviews, and I have to say, the first time I interviewed her, I thought I was getting mini-me of her dad, and nothing could be further from. She's so different than her dad.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the story she told on my show was actually how she struggled with some of the teachings of her dad and has to kind of make them her own. And that's, I think, true for everyone, that you can take things from different people and learn from them. But at the end of the day, you're a different person and you have to go with your own values.
Well, let's kick this thing off. I'm going to kick it off with somebody who's here live with us. We do these recordings live on Facebook. If you want to be part of our live studio audience, doing these. Tickets are free. You just got to show up when we're doing this. It's at Facebook.
Make the call done.
It's at facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. We're going to start off with Jeff's suggestion. Jeff says, is using a coupon for a meal romantic? Do you think that's romantic?
So here's the thing. I think that if you're a couple, you're in it together. You think of your money as a joint asset. So I say yes, actually, Jeff. I think that using a coupon for a meal is absolutely romantic. I think getting discounts on anything, especially things that you share together, is absolutely romantic. So I give that a yes. Using a coupon for a meal is romantic, except the one exception is if it's extremely early in the relationship and you don't know each other well and it's not really like a shared thing. So maybe not so much on a first date, maybe not, maybe you can be discreet about it.
You
But
don't
I
think
think
it'd
if
be,
you're in it together and you're a long-term couple, it's definitely romantic. Just anything that saves money is romantic, I think, in
you,
that sense.
you wouldn't find it romantic if your date were frugal and said, hey, if you order one of these 4 entrees, we get that half off, and they pull out a coupon.
I don't think on a first date, but I think if you're a long-term couple, you're partners and you're married, but you also can be discreet about it these days. I mean, a lot of the coupons, like if you go on like a Foursquare and stuff, they'll say if you go to this restaurant and you check in, you get a free glass of wine.
X,
And
right.
that's happening on the phone. You don't have to, just because it's a coupon. I mean, Jeff didn't specify that you have to like make a show of showing the coupon. You can very discreetly even go to, where the waiter station, and kind of discreetly give them a coupon. If it were a paper coupon, I don't know that people really have paper ones. They're usually online. So there's usually a way to do that in a discreet way. And I think that's good.
Cheryl and I have had weeks together though, and recently, just after our move, where we were so busy, instead of cooking in, we went out to dinner, and we did it way too much for a while, and our restaurant spending went through the roof. That, using a coupon instead of eating at home on a night when you were scheduled to eat at home, is not romantic. I think that's budget busting. No, because that's what coupons are meant to do, right? Coupons are meant to lure you to do something that you weren't already going to do. But I'll say, if it was already our date night, Bobby, if it was already date night and Cheryl and I used a coupon, fantastic.
Right. And Jeff was not. So maybe if you're live in the audience, give us a little more information, a little more context. Was it a first date, Jeff? That kind of thing. And, were you already going out to dinner? But I'm going to stick with my original answer. And I do think that it is romantic anytime you get a discount on something that you're doing together.
So I think Bobby and I give this one a qualified. We shouldn't laugh at our own sound effects, but that was pretty funny. You've no idea how last minute the sound effects were on this one. Michael says, agree, coupons except for the first few dates. Yes, absolutely. Let's go to the Facebook group next, Bobby. You got one for the Facebook group?
Sure. Okay. This is a good one. This is from Kathy. She says, spending your income tax return. So that's very timely, Kathy, because that's what we're talking about these days is income tax returns. To hire someone to remodel your bathroom instead of doing it yourself. Sounds like a win-win for both sexes. He, she, they don't have to do the physical labor, but he, she, they get a nice shiny bathroom.
So I like the idea that this is something constructive with your income tax return, because people take their income tax return and they think that that's extra money when it really is just your money that the government gives you after 12 months of holding
interest free, by the way. The goal is to get a refund of $1. That's the goal. You don't really want to be lending the government money, but that's a different topic.
Yeah. I mean, but during the last few years with interest rates low, you're not going to make much money on that money anyway.
It's the principle, Joe. It's the principle.
No, I agree. And usually tweaking that, because you don't know where interest rates are going to go next week. So tweak it now and get it there. And
this is a tough tax year because a lot of people, we just don't know where we're going to land. So anyway, but back to Kathy. So what do you think, Joe? Romantic?
I do, because I think that, they talk about kitchen and bathroom remodel are things that jack up the value of your house, which is you're making money together then, right? And hiring somebody else to do it with this money, it's going to be done very professionally. We walked through a lot of houses and we were just looking at houses, and you could see some of the DIY projects that went bad in some of these houses. So depending on how skilled you are at the remodel yourself, yeah, hiring somebody to do it. You know what I do like though? I like, and not to turn this into a monologue, I do like knowing how to do the things that you hire a contractor to do, because so many contractors will try to pull one over on you. And it's very reassuring to have somebody else actually do the work and you able to say, yeah, I think you needed to do this instead. Let's do that the right way. And then they go, oh.
Or you can spot when they're skimping on something. And I held back the final part of Kathy's answer. And she also says, or vice versa, remodeling the bathroom yourselves to save money and put it in savings. And that goes to what you were just saying, Joe, about the DIY. I'm going to say I agree with you on the front end of her question about, having someone else do it. And because also it's nice to have a new bathroom. That's always a nice thing, because a lot of people a lot of marital disagreements or couple disagreements can happen when maybe a bathroom isn't able to accommodate both people and you're sort of fighting for space in there. So it's definitely romantic to have a nice, shiny new bathroom. Remodeling it yourself, yes, you would save money, but I see a lot of arguments and friction and tension in that, not to mention probably not as good a job.
Yeah, really depends on if you're skilled or not. So I think we both give the first half of this a nice thumbs up. That's pretty romantic, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Jesse says not remodeling yourself is romantic. I tend to agree. Mike's going to go back to the first one here for a second, and I want to throw this one by you, Bobby. He says, if it's a dating relationship, do you need to overspend on dinner and meals? Is that part of putting your best foot forward?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I just find that to be an interesting question, because if you're somebody who's frugal, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
I think that if you're extremely frugal, it's okay to not bring that fully out early in the relationship. What I think is more of a danger that I saw, and granted, I was dating in New York City, is I did see a lot of guys in their 20s and 30s that were trying to appear wealthier than they were to impress you. And probably it worked for many people because they would see a flashy car, whatever. Of course, I would ask, well, gee, that cool red sports car looks cool, but do you own it? And no, and then I found out it was a lease. I didn't like that. And then they're renting, an apartment that they can barely afford, clearly. And, that for me might have worked on some people. I was very turned off by people that tried to be looking like they were somewhere in their career that they really shouldn't have been. I mean, if you're 24 years old, you really don't need to be at a level that you shouldn't be at financially, and you should be comfortable with yourself. So I was always turned off by people that sort of overspent.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to the fanciest restaurant to impress somebody. You go to a decent restaurant, that's okay. Or if you want to go somewhere fancy, maybe just go for drinks, something a little more budget friendly. But if you need to do that to impress someone and they need that in return, then maybe you're not a match.
Yeah. I think that's, yes, great advice. Zandra is next. She left this in our Facebook group. Recording expenses in the monthly budget together. Is that romantic?
Well, I think if you're spending time together and thinking about your financial goals, that is a good thing. And I think that is romantic, because a lot of arguments will center over the fact that if you guys are spending things that you don't agree on, then that's going to create friction in the relationship. So being on the same page and having those discussions on a regular basis, monthly, is definitely going to be good for your relationship and therefore romantic.
I love that. Cheryl and I just did this yesterday, and we were paying some bills together. And while we're paying bills, we're talking about our priorities. And it was our weekly meeting. So we had a little wine. It was in the afternoon. It was pretty fun. And it felt very romantic. It felt incredibly romantic just to know that we're on the same page financially. Absolutely. So, spreadsheet or not, I think that's incredibly romantic time. I always got surprised when I was a financial planner and I'd meet with a couple and you could see them talking about goals in a way with me there facilitating in a way that they normally wouldn't, because people get busy. They don't, it becomes who's taking the kid here, who's going to do this thing, but you don't talk about these long-term things together. And you could see that these people were I don't know, in some ways rediscovering each other. It was really, that was kind of romantic, even to talk about financial goals with the financial planner. How weird is that?
Yeah. But the truth is, if you're sitting there and you're going over expenses or future expenses and thinking about that, that's something that you're doing together. And it's something, especially when you look backwards, these are things that you achieved very often. If you're looking back and you're like, okay, we spent this much money paying off our car. Well, you achieved that together. So you're going to feel good about that. So
I think we give that one big thumb up there.
We're having a very romantic show here.
I know.
Really, everyone's doing really well.
We're just saying yes to them all. Yes, it's all romantic. We got to find one that's not very romantic. But Bobby, what do you got next?
All right. So I'm going to say that I'm going to go to Andy. Andy says, buying my wife a vacuum cleaner and matching carpet cleaner and myself a pair of noise canceling headphones. Talk about a win-win. I'm just going to say no. No, Andy, that is not romantic. Romantic is you vacuuming for her and letting her sit back and relax.
A vacuum cleaner for her and noise.
And matching carpet cleaner. Don't forget the matching carpet cleaner.
Matching carpet and noise canceling headphones. That very well might be. Not quite. Whoops. Swing and a miss. That's what happens when you let it play too long.
Negative on that, Andy.
James has one that's interesting. Let's take this from our live Facebook audience. Buying silk flowers. Buying silk flowers romantic? They last longer.
Well, yes. I guess that comes down to personal taste. If the person receiving them will be happy with them, that's a tough one. It is nice. And the thing with obviously real flowers is they die.
Yeah.
And the silk flowers do live forever. So in that sense, it is a nice thing. I don't see anything negative about it, really. If you like silk flowers, some people don't. Tough one.
I often wonder when you buy real flowers and they die, within a week, like the cost effectiveness of that. Like, is it?
It's not.
No. I mean, it's nice and they look nice. And you read these things about old couples where one of the spouses brought the other one flowers like once a week on the same day, every single Friday, brought home flowers. And it was this romantic thing for years and years and years. And, but I still think, man, that's a lot of money for not much return.
Well, I guess for them, they felt that was in line with what mattered to them. And it brought them happiness. Kind of like, some people just aren't going to give up their latte. They're just not going to give up their flowers. And that was their thing. And, they could, if you can afford it and you want to do that, that's fine as a choice.
So I don't know that I can give that a plus or a minus here.
Yeah, we're just kind of lost with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're both silk flower fans.
That one, I think it really, really does completely depend. Let's, Mike is stuck back on the dates, and I want to go back to this because this is actually interesting for Valentine's Day. He asked if going Dutch is ever romantic. Do you split it 50-50? You had the extra guacamole. It looks like you need to kick in another $2.50. That is decidedly not romantic. Like taking the check and going line item by line item, not romantic. But
no.
What about going Dutch treat?
I think that I think you can alternate paying, but it's tricky. I guess, and I'm not sure why, but I still always had the man pay, at least early in the relationship. And then maybe I would pay for certain activities. If we went to a movie or something, you pay for the movie or, offer to pay for certain things. But I don't know. I don't know why we have that tradition because we want so much equality. But I think whatever it is, one person should pay at a time. You shouldn't split the bill. You could alternate, I think is fine. But I think splitting the bill is a little uncomfortable when you're on a date.
I think splitting the bill is cool and can be economical or whatever. But the key word here was romantic. There's nothing romantic at all, Bobby, I think, about splitting the bill. If I invite you to go someplace, it would be romantic for me to pay. If you invited me someplace, be romantic for you to pay. Like that can be part of a romantic.
And that makes it gender neutral, which is good.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoever does the inviting pays, which is nice for everything. If you have a party, you should be the host and so on. So
yeah, good.
Not romantic. So we're going to give that a not romantic.
Not romantic, which means, I got to do it. Hold on. I got it right here. How about that one?
That was a good one.
All right. What do you got next?
I'm not going to read that one. I like this one. All right. From Alan. My wife and I buy supplies for the local Humane Society on a weekly basis. Is that romantic?
I think that is incredibly cool. Is it romantic?
So I don't think buying the supplies is necessarily romantic, but if they go together as a weekly activity to give them to the Humane Society, it is. Because then it becomes something you do together and it's a shared experience over time. So for example, as you were talking about the flowers that the couple gave each other weekly, if that was their weekly thing that they did together, maybe that's something that is romantic. Just buying them is not necessarily, though.
Yeah, the Humane Society part isn't, but doing something that helps your community together, I think is very romantic. I mean, how would it be to have a first date to go to some community building thing, like Habitat for Humanity or supplies for the Humane Society? I mean, if I was invited on that first date with somebody, I think that would be a really cool first date experience to do some community building activity.
I love love that. I think that would be great. Why is that not the kind of thing that they do on The Bachelor?
That's-
Why are they taking like helicopters to, exotic locations? They should just go play with puppies and cats and help the animals that need help.
Yeah, go work at a food bank,
Yeah.
together. That was, I have to tell you, we did that, around the holidays for a few years. I don't know why we didn't do it the last couple of years, but it is always, the first year I thought, oh, this is just going to be painful and sad. And it was so joyous and fun. And I think that could be super, super romantic.
And the thing there that sticks out to me is weekly. So if it becomes a regular weekly thing that you do together, then it is romantic.
Yeah. So that is, but I think the cool factor on that one, Bobby, is huge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we give
Thanks,
this,
Alan.
we give this one a nice job. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do the one from Kevin here. Is this the one that you were skipping?
Let me see. I don't know.
It's
I'm not sure what you're going to say.
It is.
I've got it right here.
It is just above Andy's.
I see that one. That is not the one that I skipped, but yeah.
Okay. Kevin says, before my wife and I got married, I really wanted to talk about this one because I don't know. Our attorneys reached agreement in principle on our prenuptial contract on Valentine's Day. I always thought that was romantic. Getting your prenup approved on Valentine's Day. Is that romantic?
Negative. Sorry. I'm sorry. I believe in prenups, but I do not think they are romantic under any conditions.
They are practical.
They are practical. They are not romantic.
So anything involving prenup, not there.
Exactly.
When it comes to prenup, how do you get around the practical part of that to get back to, because there's just something about the person bringing up the prenup that all of a sudden rips the romantic stuff apart. And how do you get around that and back to romance?
Well, I think it depends. Look, it's cliche. Every couple is different. I think that if you are very early in life, it usually does not come up. If you both don't have assets, there's no reason in most cases to have a prenup unless you have family members that have assets that they want to protect. And that's often the case. If you have a young couple with a prenup, it's usually, one person's parent or relative that is kind of in their ear. And you can always just say, well, my uncle so-and-so or my dad or my mom want this because of this specific asset that they don't want to ever become. They want it to stay on their side of the family, whatever it is. You can sort of offload it onto somebody else. And if you're older, if you're in a second marriage and you've accumulated assets or you have children from a previous marriage, that's usually something that's kind of standard.
Yeah.
And so it's not such a big deal. And it's pretty clear in most cases what needs to be in the prenup, because it's usually related to your children or one person's children.
But still, Kevin, anything related to the prenup, Bobby and I both give it a big
negative on the prenups. Not romantic.
I think we've got time for a couple more.
All right. Commuting together just to save a half gallon of gas. Isn't that romantic? That is from Philip.
It's funny because I think commuting together is romantic, specifically to save half a gallon of gas to do it. Seems cheap to me. It just...
Maybe you would save more. I don't know. But the idea of commuting together to save money on gas, is that romantic?
I don't, what's funny is that the piece that makes it non-romantic to me is the part where you're doing it to save money on gas. The part where you're doing it to just do something together is great. And the fact that you save the money on gas is a nice byproduct. But if saving half a gallon of gas is I guess it depends on where you're at in your financial relationship, right? I mean, if you're fighting for every penny and you're trying to find ways to get the ship afloat. I mean, I remember those days where I didn't make money for a year and things were really tough. Yeah, pulling together to do it just so we could save money probably could have been really romantic, I guess.
And to be fair to Philip, we did task everyone and they had to have a money connection. So, commuting together is romantic. We're agreeing. When you put the money element in there as part of the motive, that's where it gets muddy for you, Joe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, unless you're really struggling like Cheryl and I were very early on, where there was just no money coming in and a lot of bills and a family of 4, then I think that would have been incredibly romantic for us to be that much on the same page.
Yes.
What do you think? Where are you coming down on this one?
I'm going to call it romantic because you know what? It's nice quality time together. And I think that saving money is just bonus on top of that. But I think it's really nice because that's also commuting time is a time when you can sort of detach from the world ideally and really talk, hopefully, or enjoy a podcast together maybe and discuss the topics on the podcast. So I think I would go with yes.
There we go.
You were a yes also?
I was, yes. I was a kind of a qualified yes. Let's see what people are talking about on the Facebook page. Bethany, our friend Bethany from the Money Millhouse Show, is here hanging out with us. She says, this is a great episode. I need to play it for my husband as our Valentine's Day date. That's romantic.
Listening to Money in the Morning's Valentine's Day special is very romantic with lots of, great money saving ideas. Of course.
James says lawyers involved, never romantic. I totally agree. Kathy's talking about grill heart-shaped burgers instead of steak and lobster.
Sure. Why not?
And Mike replies, or grill heart-shaped lobsters. Genetically engineered lobster. Is that romantic? I don't
No, that doesn't sound good. I'm sorry if the lobster people are going to be mad at me, but I just think that's bad.
Glenn.
Genetically engineered lobster.
Taking your wife to Palm Springs for a week.
Yes, romantic. Yes. If you can afford it, of course.
If it's on a credit card, no. I mean,
no, you can have a credit card and pay it off. Then you get all your points.
If you pay it off, but if you go into debt and then 6 months later you're still paying for the trip, probably not.
How about this one, Joe? All right, going to the store on the 15th to buy discounted candy for my wife. Is that romantic? It's the same candy a day later, but I don't know.
Boy, the candy going to get the cheap candy on the 15th.
What if she loves chocolate? If you gave it, I don't know.
I think that's frugal. The key word here is romantic.
I agree with you. I'm going to say it's not romantic because it's frugal, but it is not romantic because it's not the day. Yeah, me thinking, hey, Cheryl, you want to go pick out candy on the 15th? Now, we had a lot of people in the Facebook group say going to like Target and standing in the cart aisle and picking one out and showing them to each other and then putting them back. Is that romantic? Yes. You think so? I totally do. I think it's fun. It's like it's the cheapest. I guess we're just reading how cheesy some of them are. And some of them are actually very clever. It depends. Yeah, maybe that is a funny activity, just reading them. Maybe. Doing that together. Doing that together as an activity instead of spending $10 on paper. Yeah, okay. I think that's pretty good. Let's do this one and then we're going to we forgot our sound effects, Joe. Wrap this thing up. What did we said a negative on going to the store to buy discounted candy. Yeah. On the 15th. We can't forget the sound effect. Most important part of this episode is the sound effect. I want to do this one. Andrew asks this one, and then I think we're out of time, guys. This has been great. Interested in Bobby's opinion on lab-grown diamonds, chemically identical to actual diamonds, but made in a lab. Is a chemically grown diamond romantic? Oh boy, that's a stumper. I'm going to say yes if she's on board. I think that's a joint decision. I think that, and I have, by the way, my husband gave me a beautiful ring, so I have I believe it's a very nice diamond, but it's. I don't know. The ring thing is a whole other debate, but I think that rings are often marketed to have people spend more money on them than they should. So I think you got to be really careful, know what you're buying. And if you're both on board with buying a synthetic ring, then that's great, especially if that will make someone feel good about having maybe a bigger ring. But it's also become very popular to either not have engagement rings or to have different color stones, which I think can be really cool. That's something that's very popular in Europe. So I think it's a personal taste thing. I think it's becoming a mainstream thing, and it's okay if it works for you guys. So I would say yes. I kind of talk through that out loud. Yeah, I like that. I like watching the wheel spin while you're doing that. I think, and Andrew didn't ask for my opinion. He wanted Bobby's opinion, but I'm going to give you my opinion anyway, Andrew. You're welcome. I don't think it is romantic. I think that
giving jewelry is romantic, but whether it's lab grown or natural, like I don't see the difference in romance between the two of those. You know what I mean? Like I don't discern. And maybe the question is it less romantic to give cubic zirconium or whatever it might be?
No, I don't think he's referencing necessarily like the cubic zirconia that's like a cheap one. There's diamonds that they now
Sure.
can create that are, I believe, sort of materially the same.
Yeah.
They didn't grow in the or evolve in the ground. I'm not sure the right terminology there. So I think that's what he's there are stones that they can make that are really are identical to the quote real things. So we weren't talking about the cubic zirconia. We were talking about the extremely high quality ones that are really grown in labs. So just to clarify that difference, generally a really cheap, $10 cubic zirconia is not what I was referencing as being okay.
No, but I'm just even saying just different quality jewelry. Like I don't know. I mean, if everybody knows what it is, I have a relative who got a fake diamond as a engagement ring and didn't find out until a few years into their marriage. Never had the stone of praise, and then found out that it was actually a really, really, really cheap thing.
That's not okay. No, but lab grown is not the same as
I know
what we're referencing. So we have to clarify that.
Sure. Yeah.
And also I believe in the honesty. I think Joe makes a really good point that it's really a joint decision and that, she has to be, or he has to be okay with it.
Let's talk about something else, Bobby, you should be honest about. How about that for a transition?
Oh no, you're scaring me, Joe.
You should be honest about your need for homeowners insurance that rocks. Yes. Should be honest about whether you need renter's insurance. And if you're going to be looking at those, Lemonade's a company to look at, because with Lemonade, you can forget everything you know about insurance. Instant everything, killer prices, big heart, home and renter's insurance, mostly for urban dwellers. Lemonade's amazing coverage protects the stuff you own at home and everywhere else. It takes 90 seconds to get insured. When you have a claim, it takes 3 minutes to get paid. I thought they were full of it when I first checked out Lemonade. Turned out they weren't. And I saved a bundle of money on renter's insurance, and I saved a little money on our homeowner's insurance when we moved. So,
well, they're also very transparent with the fees. And the other thing that I think is good is that they do make donations part of your, if there's extra money in there, they give to social causes that you choose that you can support. So I think that's a nice thing. That's almost romantic, not quite, but it's still in the nice vein, Joe.
Mike says we need a follow-up show with each of our spouses just to check facts. Whether they think these things are romantic or not. We may be the money nerds in our families, though, Bobby.
I think so.
That's going to do it for today. Thanks. The big idea today, Bobby, what do you think? Have a fantastic... Well, before we do that, do you have any finalists for who's going to win your book?
Do I have any finalists? Oh gosh, I don't know. And this show is live.
I like the idea of going to the Humane Society together.
I was just about to say that yeah. Yes. And that was Alan.
Yeah. Anything community oriented like that is a date. I think that's my vote. We going to go with that one?
I think so. And I like the fact, as I said, that they do it on a weekly basis. So it's a regular time that they can always check in together and have that time together, which is nice.
Nice job, Alan. We'll give you a couple days to listen to this and reach out to us, Joe at stackingbenjamins.com or Bobby at financialgrownup.com, and tell us that you heard this. If not, we'll just reach out to you in a few days, and Bobby will send you great book by Rachel Cruz. That is a great book.
Cruz, Love Your Life, Not Theirs. And I think that kind of goes to our big idea that it doesn't matter what someone else thinks is romantic. It's really what you and the love in your life think are romantic. It's really your own decision, going back to the diamonds, going back to the Humane Society, whatever it is. If you guys find it romantic together, be it silk flowers or giggling about, corny Valentine's Day cards at Target, whatever works for you guys is romantic and works for your money plans and your money goals. There you go, Joe.
Go stack some Benjamins, everybody.
And if you want to live a richer life, you got to be a financial grown-up. Bye, guys.
This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, hosted and produced by Bobby Rebell and Joe Saul-Sehy, is engineered by Caden Thompson, and all put together by a pack of well-trained ferrets down here in Joe's mom's basement. You'll find Bobby at the Financial Grown Up Podcast and Joe at the Stacking Benjamin Show. Go say hi to them there, too. Online, visit us on Twitter at Average Joe Money and at Bobby Rebel, or come join a live recording at our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. I know you already know this too, but Money in the Morning is for entertainment purposes only. You should not act on anything recommended by a bunch of entertainers in a basement or even a Manhattan kitchen without first consulting your financial advisor. And second, dude, have your head examined. Have headlines you'd like us to discuss? Send them to joe at stackingbenjamins.com or put them on our Stacking Benjamins closed Facebook group. This show is a collaboration of Stacking Benjamins LLC and BRK Media LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and I reserve the right to always say, we'll see you next time back here on Money in the Morning.